I'm living a happier and more accepting life today than I ever have before. Loving myself and finding authentic love for myself that comes from the inside out has been a process. Being from Colombia, there's so much pressure put on body image, and there's so much pressure put on being thin. Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I didn't have the same body type as really anyone in my family, and I always felt a little bit like an outsider. I was already sort of honing in on those skills of how do I try to fit in more in the different worlds that I was a part of. When it really became apparent to me that the world was going to judge me by my body was probably a little bit closer to 12 or 13 when I was starting middle school. I can remember being at the lunch table and the popular girls invited me to come sit down with them. And they told me, you're just so pretty, but you would be so much prettier if you could just lose a little bit of weight. I had never had someone say that to me in such a direct fashion. And it felt like an ultimatum in some ways to me. Like, you could have all this, you could be a part of this world, but you're gonna have to do something about your body. I started my career working for a public affairs firm in Washington, and I worked there for many years. I started as an assistant, worked my way up to managing multi-million-dollar contracts and accounts for the European Union, for presidential candidate hopefuls in Latin America, for major beauty campaigns. Things that were going right in my life gave me a sense of purpose. And for many years, I think that was what my self-esteem was based on. When I left DC and I moved here to Salt Lake City, where I live now, I had to reimagine who I was without the career. It can be very isolating when you think that you're worthy for an outside reason, and then you have to learn that actually, even without the job, even without community, even after my body changed a lot through becoming a mother, I'm still someone that's worthy of love. For so long, fashion has been so exclusionary for me. I had such a hard time finding clothes that I felt represented me and my personality. I felt super limited by what I could wear. It wasn't until I found BloomChic that I felt like I could actually be celebrated by a brand that was designing for my type of body. I've worn BloomChic to galas with heads of state. I've worn the pieces in Mexico on beach vacations, and I've worn them to some of the most important business meetings that I've had so far in my career. Every single time I put on the clothes, not only do I feel beautiful, but I get compliments everywhere that I go. I just turned 40, and before I turned 40, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted for my 40s. It was a year that I took a lot of risks, where I said yes to a lot of things that I wouldn't have in the past. And it's also a year that I spent focusing on building community. It's a reimagining of what are the things that are non-negotiable in my life. Beyond having a wonderful marriage and a wonderful family, having women that I can count on, that I can relate to, it's so important to me. Surrounding myself with friends who are very positive about their own bodies and who they are, having open conversations about what the struggles are instead of keeping that inside. I think it's helped me really move through life in a different way and have this renaissance in my 40s. Beauty is a gift. Fashion is not frivolous and it's not futile to feel beautiful and to project that beauty, because it is a way to connect with the world and it is a way to connect with people. So many messages try to tell us do less, be less. But in the end of the day, sometimes we have to invest in ourselves and be more. For me, those are the messages that pave the way to more acceptance and more self-love. Moving through the world in a larger body always has its challenges. Of course, there are days where I have sadness and shame and loneliness and all of the things that humans feel. But I think as a balance, I'm living a happier and more accepting life today than I ever have before. I am Natalie Alhante Braga, and this is a reimagining.